trapper here. We're working on skinning out the feet. We're gonna do this bobcat, pretty bobcat, nice spotted up all the way down. So we're gonna do this one for Jay with the feet on, and then we're gonna come in here, and this is, I've already done one, so we're gonna do the same thing here. So we'll come down in here. Pretty much what we're looking for is you've got a pad here that we're going to be I'm going to keep them on because I try to keep as much as possible, but I'm going to end up splitting right through the middle of this pad in the base. If you're going to do it for rug mounted taxidermy, you'd come in here along the edge and just cut that whole thing off right there, because you won't need it, because that's what allows it to splay out. So you just come in here and cut around the edge and get it ready if you're going to do a rug on it. These ones, I think he's just going to tube them out and hang them with the feet on. So what we'll do is get a nice paring knife or something thin for cutting through, really sharp knife. Those pads are pretty tough because they're full of fat and gristle. And for the case skinning, all we're going to do is work our way up on the back side of the arm and pop it right there. Now if you're going to actually have it taxidermied, don't cut through this. You want to just cut right at the base of it and work your way up the same cut here, because then they can stitch it up in this long hair back together. But you want to stop here, so you have to peel more of that back. So basic, pretty simple there. We've already got our split here, split it up to the elbow, and now you just kind of roll. And again, having a nice sharp knife. I've got a scalpel here, just a little hobby scalpel that you can pick up at Hobby Lobby, and that's for when we get into the real detailed stuff. So to do this, you need a nice paring knife, you need that, and then you need a pair of side cutters, plier deals, and you'll see where these come in down the road here. But we're going to get going on this real quick. And watch your fingers, I almost got myself there. Should probably be wearing gloves with this. But these cats have been in a deep freeze for quite a while. I'm pretty sure anything that might have been in them has since died. So again, I use this sharper knives with the little flatter blade. It doesn't have to be like this. You can use a plain scalpel, because it gives you a little more control in the tighter quarters here. So we'll move back to our bigger paring knife. You try to roll a lot of the tendons and meat off while you're here. You don't have to, it just creates more work down the road. Try not to leave any more than you have to on there. But now on these ones, you got the dew claw right here. So we're going to want to take that off. So we're almost there. We just need to finish working this around. Once you can get your hands on it, it just peels like a banana. And then we get over here. It's kind of tough, but you see here, that's actually part of the claw there. So what we're going to be looking to do is take our side cutters and get right up on the edge of that knuckle and pop it. And then that frees that up, so you can keep working that around. And you're going to do that. I like to roll it like that. It's a lot of finesse work, and if you have carpal tunnel, good luck. If you don't have it, you will after doing about a half a dozen of these. So after doing all the fleshing I've been doing the last couple days, jumped on this, and the first one took a little while for my hands to start working right. So take it slow. I'm moving pretty quick here, but You want to take it slow so you're not cutting in between the webbings, but you can see how we're starting to get into the knuckles here. And this is where you kind of try to pay attention where the claw comes back, and there's this knuckle here, and there's a knuckle that comes up, and then right where we're at now. So you want to try to get somewhere right in here to pop it. So the more you get out of here, the faster and better they dry. And this is like I said, everything but cutting through the pad is the same stuff you'll do if you're doing like a taxidermy quality. But see how we can kind of use our pliers here, or side cutters, and now we're here at the claw, so we can get these right in here and just pop right through there. You're gonna have to work yourself slowly around and do one at a time. And if you're having troubles working it back through across the top, you got to come back underneath and readdress the bottom side. The way I've found is usually the easiest way to do this is you work from outsides in. So you come over here, get that outside pinky knuckle there, get to that same point where you can see the claw here, and comes down. So anywhere right in there, you pop it and cut it. And then that frees up the two middle fingers there. So we'll just keep working that around. And you can do a lot of pulling on this. And that'll save your hands a little bit of work. Especially see how I'm using these two fingers to pull. That's why it's kind of nicer to have that scalpel, because you can get... Oh, he's actually missing that claw. So... we can see that claw pretty clearly now. We got all four of them. Alright, and that's it. All the claws are attached. They're still there. Now, even though they're sharp here, when you get them back from the tanning process, because of the way they tumble around in there, most of these tips will be busted off and messed up. But that's basically how you do it. Same process with the back legs. But on this one, I'm going to get him out of here. Move him up. So you want to get that one leg out of the way. So what we're going to do is we'll do the same thing. But again, if you're doing it to get mounted, start at the base of the pad here and cut. You want to kind of cut right through here, right along that, and you want to stay right along the brown and white line here. And you go right to the rectum. And do that on both sides. So I don't think I'll show you that much of it, but yeah, you just run through here, run your knife, wrap the inside edge, get on that white and brown line, and just work your way right to the rectum. I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I do when we get on this one's not so bad because she's a female, but we'll shut it off here and I'll show you when I get all this stuff peeled off and ready to be hung up on the gambit. So that's what we're looking at. That kind of gives you a basic rundown on how to peel feet back and stuff. And you don't have to have expensive gear to do this. I mean, it's just a lot of handmade stuff. Yeah, we'll get back in touch with you guys here in a few minutes once I get these 2 feet done. All right, guys. Yeah, we got Mr. Bill here with us. So we got the feet done, all 4 of them. So now we're gonna come in here, unwrap them, and pretty much most of your cats you could just do with your hands. Just grab it. We're to the tail here. If you look here, we left just the vent. We're gonna call it a vent hole. But we're going to clean up right around the anus area. I got a little high to start this, but I thought I already had done. And you just pull it, give it a nice little tug. I've got a tail stripper, but if you could get 2 pieces of round steel, these ones I welded together, and it kind of does the same principle. You say you don't have to have the fanciest stuff in the world to do this, but yeah, it just get a good hold.
She's cooperative.
Look at that. Give Jay back his bullet. But the plus side about doing a lot of it with your hands, you see we're leaving most of the meat. I mean, you got a few chunks here and there, but most of that stuff you can just grab and peel off. So same deal here. This is just the armpit meat there that always comes off with it. We can cut that off and get that in the fleshing process, or you can flesh it real quick while you got the whole thing hanging. And that's pretty much it. It goes pretty quick. For in here, if you want to put holes in a cat's pelt, this is a good place to do it. So what I generally do is try to find my hammer, and it's pretty simple. Just kind of beat that down and around. Bring your knife in here. You'll need it for the arms here. You just kind of keep working away, cutting. You see how I'm cutting towards the meat, and I'm not cutting along the edge of the hide. You want to just cut towards the meat. And on this, if you're having a hard time, you can kind of feel it with your knife, and that's right where the edge of where the pelt and the meat meet. And you get these little sinew stretches, but sometimes it's hard to see right through here. So you just kind of gotta take it slow. And you can get away with doing some pulling on some cats, but use some discretion on that. I mean, the only way to learn how much pressure to put on them is by ripping one. You just kind of keep working your way around. So, yes, now once we get about here, kind of bunch it up and just get a handful and just pull. Like I said, the less cutting you can do, the less you're going to have a chance to put a hole in it. So, like I said, I like to get the outsides about as far as I can go. And yes, my beard is going to get in there every once in a great while. That's why they make showers. Trying to get you in here. We just kind of pull the meat up and pull the hide down. You're working with just the tip of the knife. You're just trying to find that line. And again, work it slow. And eventually you get to the point where you kind of see my finger through there. Just force your thumb through. Grab the one thumb here, a couple fingers, and then it pulls right out. If it pulls right out, yeah, I made it look a little bit easier than it probably is. So, but once you get that one side done, the other side goes pretty quick and easy. And then now we're down to the head. No real tricks on the head. slow and steady wins the race on this. The same process, just keep working around. Watch the neck, because this strip right here, that's where most of your holes are going to end up. So you just keep working that slow. Give it a tug, then you'll get a little more of that sinew looking stuff. You don't want a super sharp knife for this part of it, because like I said, this is, if I generally put a hole, this is about where it's at, so you really can't see much. And if you can avoid it, you see the two arteries coming down here. I mean, it's not a big deal if you cut them. You just got a lot more washing to do, because that stuff, everything in the body is going to be draining out there. So you just, then you'd have to spend a little more time cleaning the pelt, and the more time you have invested into these, the less profit you make on anything. So that's whether you're doing it as a fur handler, a buyer, or even just a regular old Joe whose time's valuable. So we're getting close to the base of the ears here. I'm gonna get Hunter Boy here to zoom in here a little bit and I'll show you. But this is the back of the skull and just basic anatomy. And then if you have any questions, roll the hide back up. But right here you can see that white, it goes like this. That's the start of that ear canal. Same deal over here. Alright, you can skin it down as far as you want, but the farther you skin out them ears right now, the bigger the hole in the ear canal is going to be. So what I like to do is I come in here and I cut it up towards the skull. And this is kind of where you want a little bit sharper knife, but you could see how far up I cut. You see how big that hole is going to end up being. I like them just big enough I could get my fingers in them. And once you can get your fingers in there, it gives you something else to hold on to while you're skinning. So that works a lot better for like coyotes and stuff, because they got longer faces. Cats are so short and round that you're just kind of pinching. I like to grab and I pinch everything together like it's almost like a cone. You're pinching a shirt over a cone. But now we get to the eyes, nose, and mouth part. This is where I tend to get a little more comfortable. Come over this way. You just kind of work it, because right here is the start of the eye socket. I mean, you could poke it, bone, 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 soft. Now, I missed out on this, but if you're doing taxidermy quality, you want to get as close to the base of the ear as you possibly can, and you want this hole to be as small as possible. You always want to go, when in doubt, give the taxidermist more than they could possibly need. Now, we know I'm in here at the eye socket, and I'm going to give you a rundown, but you just start working in there until you run across where, because when you're doing it taxidermy quality, again, you want to give, if you cut too much off, you're cutting into the eyelids and stuff. And you, again, when you're taxidermist, you want to give him all that stuff and let him cut all that out. Unless you're just going to have him do the whole thing, which I know some taxidermists prefer, because then they can get exactly what they want out of it. So, like I was saying, you give him everything he can need. I might cut a little hole in this one for the garment stuff, but this is fine. But if we were getting taxidermy, that would be some sewing that the taxidermist would have to do. So you just kind of keep working down. Now on this stuff, this is where you kind of want a nice sharp knife, and once you get a hole in there, again, I try to make it big enough to give me something to hold on to. You just work the edge of that eyeball. Now for taxidermy quality, you're going to want a super sharp knife for this portion of it. Just so you can, like I say, you're giving him plenty to work with. But yeah, so we got past the eyeballs. Now we're at the corner of the mouth. Taxidermy quality, you want to give them as much. And ideally on taxidermy quality, you turn this back out, or you do this before you did this, and you run along the inside edge of the gums all the way around. But for what we're doing, for our purpose, get it big enough to put a finger in there. You just start working it back just like you've been doing everything else. So now I know for like your coons and coyotes and stuff, a lot of my coyotes, I trim the nose down. I bring the nose all the way down and around, and as soon as I did that, I'd put my knife right through here and cut off that bottom jaw, because you don't need it for the tannery, or for the auction stuff. But like I said, just keep on working her down. You get to about the basic tip of the nose right there. Just run your knife and make sure you just kind of follow the inside edge of that jawline. And for the around the teeth, if you can't pry that open, this one's pretty nimble. So we'll just kind of keep working down and around that bottom jaw, and eventually she'll just pop right off. So again, if you could keep that open, somehow, there you go. So I'm just going to use my knife sharpener in there. Makes it a little bit harder to see, but you just kind of keep on working down and it pops right out. So that's it. Minor fleshing we got to do. Just like I said, we got to get that fat off of that belly, and the 1 or 2 little chunks of meat that might be on there, but that's ready for a stretcher. So with that being done there, because these things took so long to thaw out, we're going to throw them in the freezer just for a few minutes, because the flies had a chance to lay some eggs on there. So we're going to wipe it down with some alcohol, and we're going to throw it in the freezer for a few minutes to kill all that off. And then we'll pull it back out. While we're doing that, we're going to turn some other cats right side out. So as you're seeing, we got them up here like so. We're going to turn them so that they end up looking something like this, but obviously this one needs cleaned up a little bit more. This one isn't finished yet, but square it up, and then we'll get it tightened up, and then I move them over into my drying area where I got a fan blowing on them. These ones won't really need too much of it, but so we go from that. We're in the process of flipping them. I let them sit a little too long today because it went from 50 to 70 real fast. So they dried up real quick on me. They went from super wet to super dry. So, but yeah, that's about it. I'll take the carcasses off of all these bobcats and the fox. I'm going to grind them up and turn them into some sort of bait I can use during coyote season. And then, yeah. So we got to flip all these ones up here. We got it behind me, and then get everything transferred over into the man cave or drying shed I got going on next to the garage here. And then, yeah. And that'll be about it for tonight. And then I'll pull out another fresh batch out of the freezer for tomorrow. So, alright, thanks for tuning in. That'll probably be the end of this one. So, bobcats are pretty easy.